Good Shabbos, everyone. Welcome back.
Welcome
not
back.
Shabbos.
Not Shabbos. Definitely not
This
Shabbos.
Is not Shabbos. We have microphones. We have cameras. We have lights. It's not Shabbos. It is a regular weekday. We are going to do an incredible session talking about Yiddishkeit.
Yes.
Yiddishkeit. Okay. So Chukat is the name of this Torah portion. And Chukat is a phenomenal parsha. Phenomenal Torah portion. Because it has an ungodly amount, or maybe a godly amount of stories. It is crazy what's going on over here. It starts off incredibly somewhere. Just doing its thing. And you're like, okay. This sounds like an AI written podcast. I just realized the way I'm saying it right now. It's very beautiful. It starts off somewhere strange, and suddenly it comes back with some great stories. But that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay? It starts off with the laws, a section of laws that has absolutely no connection to anything we've done until now.
Very random. It's as if we left off open.
It is completely shoehorned in.
Mhm.
And then we get into a list of stories which pick up from where the last of the stories ended last Parsha, last Torah portion, and it goes straight through linearly. This Torah portion, next Torah portion, next Torah portion, everything from here on forward is very linear, and even the laws that are taught are all taught directly relating to episodes and experiences that happen that they have to get taught. Like there's laws that come up in relation to what they're going through, and therefore it gets taught. But this Torah portion starts off with the laws of the Para Aduma, the red heifer.
Okay.
So, to give clarity to the structure of what today's discussion is going to be, make it very simple and straightforward. We're going to talk about the laws of the red heifer for a few minutes. We're going to emphasize why it is called a chok, which you mentioned last episode a little bit. This idea of like it's a mitzvah that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to go all the way through all the stories. Then we're going to come back to the idea of chok and understand how it makes sense that this is actually the thing that launches us into the Torah portion, and why the entire Torah portion is called after Chukat Torah. The name of the Torah portion is Chukat, or this statute, and how that informs the entire conversation of the entire Torah portion.
Can you give us a little teaser as to what the stories are?
No.
Okay.
No, because there's
I
too many.
tried.
There's too many.
I tried.
No. Okay, so first of all, what is this radical statute of chukim, of the red heifer? There are different layers and levels of impurity that a Jewish person can come into contact with. In the time of a temple, it was very important to know if you're pure and if you're impure. There are certain things you're able to do if you're pure. Go into the temple, eat from the holy sacrifices, touch things that were going to go into the temple. There were people who lived their entire life, tried to keep at the highest level of purity. Today we even have where you wash your hands in recognition of the way they used to wash their hands. In the morning, you wash your hands before you eat bread. In the way they used to eat the holy sacrifices, a higher level of purity. The worst level of purity, of impurity that existed was purity of touching or being in contact with a dead body. That was called Tumat Bet. It was the highest, strongest level. And you saw the way that you re-purified from Tumat Bet showed you there was the longest, most convoluted process. Therefore, you could see that it was the most intense because everything else was basically going to mikvah, and you come out and you're pure by the nightfall. With Tumat Bet, there was this longer process you had to do. What is the longer process? You had to get ashes from the red heifer, sprinkle it onto live water, came from a living stream, dip a hyssop and azov. There's words for this in English that my brain is not giving me right now. A bundle. Where is it? Here we are. Take some hyssop.
Hyssop.
Azov.
Oh, Azov.
Uh-huh.
Oregano.
Hyssop.
Oh, Esev.
Azov. Yes.
Is oregano.
Today.
It's Zatar and oregano, which are the exact same plant.
Zatar.
Za'atar the plant, not to be confused with za'atar the spice, which has the plant in it, but also has a bunch of other things.
Interesting.
Za'atar is ezov matsui, meaning wildly found ezov.
Okay.
Ezov matsui, and oregano is ezov.
Huh. I don't know if biblical oregano. I don't know if biblical izov was.
I imagine
oregano.
it was the plant.
The translation is hyssop.
Okay.
I know what that means.
Okay.
I know what hyssop. Did you know that cilantro and coriander are the same thing?
Yes, sir.
So my wife keeps reminding me, and I have no recollection.
It's interesting. My mother kept on reminding me.
They don't taste the same.
They're the same thing.
They don't taste.
Just
the
one
same.
one's in a thing.
I actually smelled coriander last week to try to see if it smells like cilantro. No,
No.
not to me. It's sweet. It's very different.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, but I think that just one, we're used to seeing one in a
in a cake and one in a sauce.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Izov is a hyssop. Maybe it's also oregano. We don't know. If it's good, my kids love oregano on their pizza, so I'll tell them that they're one step away from paraduma.
They're one step away from being pure.
From being, well, you have to get the ashes of the paraduma. That's the hardest part.
That's the detail.
Key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way it would work was a person would not eat oregano, but he would rather, or she would go to mikvah, count 7 days, be sprinkled with the water of this ashes water mixture on the third day, on the seventh day, and then they were pure on the seventh day. Well, they would go to mikvah afterwards, and then they would be pure. So it was a way to become pure from, and it was the highest level of impurity. It's not only the highest level of impurity because it's such a long way to get freed from it, but also because the impurity of a tumat met, of a dead body, also transferred much further. One of the things that is less known is that impurities transfer. So touching certain things, water transfers impurities faster. Food,
Which is why if someone is tameh met, you can't be near them.
which is why there's also carrying something impure makes you impure. Touching it, carrying it. If it's a dead body, then even being in the same room as the dead body makes you
Which
impure.
is why kohanim don't go into graveyards.
Which is why, well, that's because the whole graveyard has a level of impurity. It's related but unrelated. Kohanim don't go into hospitals to visit people. Meaning if they're sick, they can go in to get taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But to go visit people, they're not supposed to go. If it's a hospital that's known to have a morgue inside.
Even relatives.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So if it's a morgue and they know where it is, and so if it's a very close relative and it's very important in today's world, because there's a mitzvah in the Torah that says that a priest is not supposed to become impure.
Mm-hmm.
But in today's world, everyone's impure. We haven't seen a red heifer in years.
Red heifer is that a bull?
A red heifer is a fully red cow,
Mm-hmm.
not a calf, a cow.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be over a year old.
Okay.
And it has to be fully red. It can have not a single, well, it can have a single hair of a different color, but not two hairs
Mm-hmm.
of a different color. You can never use it.
This is the only mitzvah that even the great King Solomon, the wise,
Correct.
didn't understand.
Correct. It is the chukah. It is the mitzvah. One of the radical things about it is that it makes people impure. If you handle it, you become impure.
If you handle it becoming impure, but you use
But
it
if
to
you
make
use
people...
it to make people pure, you sprinkle it on the right people. Correct. So it's
Very
one of those
interesting.
crazy radical mitzvot. The way that they would make it is they would find the red heifer, and they would bring it to the temple, and they would burn it on a non-altar altar outside of the temple, across from the temple. It was done on Mount Olives, which is across from the temple. They would look directly at the east side of Temple Mount. They would look into the Kodesh, the Holy of Holies. There's a whole conversation in, I think it's the Mishnah, where it goes through how high each of the steps leading up from the valley of Temple Mount all the way up to how high it was and how many steps it was and how high each step was. And so it basically calculates that if you're on the mountain of Mount Olives, which is across from Temple Mount, you're facing west, facing into the temple, you could look straight at the temple. They actually built the top of the gate that theoretically would have blocked you. They built that the shar much lower So that way you should be able to actually look directly into the Holy of Holies.
Wow.
I guess they looked at the curtain because it wasn't open.
Mm-hmm.
And they would slaughter it then. They would sprinkle the blood, sprinkle it towards the temple, and they would make this massive, massive bonfire. Any wood that was in that bonfire, including the red heifer itself, but also any of the other wood that was involved, was also all that ash, anything that was inside that mountain of wood, all that had the status of the ashes of the red heifer. It was part of the conflagration of ashes of the red heifer. They would take it, they would grind up everything that was inside of it, and then they would turn that into, they would split it into three. 1/3 was used to purify Jews in general. 1/3 was used to purify the Kohanim specially, because they were always coming in and out of the temple, so in case they had like an extra special stash.
Mm-hmm.
You only needed a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a massive, massive jug of
And what's the
fresh
third
water
part for?
to save.
Just in case.
They always had it was as a maskaret, as a recollection, as a memory thing, and they saved it. And when the high priest would, before Yom Kippur every year, the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies to purify him. They would purify him using a little bit of ash from every single one of the previous red heifers. They would take a little bit from each one, and they would use that when they purified him, which is fascinating.
And how long has it been since we've seen one of these?
Second temple times, first temple times.
Is it just a very rare?
Well, you need to have a temple. The
No,
first
but
one was
is-
done. Yeah,
like,
it's
are
very
the
rare.
bull-
It's very rare.
Like, are these cows very unheard of?
In Israel today, there's a bunch of farms that are trying to like grow the.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So 9 has been done in the history of the Jews.
How many?
First one, 9 total.
9. Okay, wow.
The first one was done by Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, I want to say it was done by Ezra.
Was Ezra Cohen?
Ezra, it was under his auspices. I don't think it was a Kohen.
Mm.
Correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But he, it was under his auspices that they burned the 9th one, and then we're waiting. Like I said, in Israel, they have a bunch of farms that are preparing or getting ready for it. Okay.
Very cool.
So this is the law, and basically it's a whole. One of the themes is that it atones for the golden calf. The Medrash says that let the mother come clean up after the child. So the golden calf was a young cow. This is the red heifer. It's the older calf. Aaron wasn't the one who offered it. It was Elazar who offered it, because Aaron had taken part in the golden calf, which we'll get to one day, but with time. Yes, there's a bunch of different midrashic, and this is like Ramez type of connection.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is there's 3 types of things. There's the cedar, because in the bonfire, I forgot to mention it, he would throw in a bundle of cedar wood, hyssop, izov, and wrapped in crimson wool into the fire while it was burning, or as it started to really catch on fire. So why were the 3 different things? Each 3 things to correspond to the 3,000 men who died during the worshiping of the golden calf. So it was a golden calf rectification.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good. So that's what happens. Like I said, it was done 9 times. This law was taught to us probably when they were near Mount Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
It gets popped in over here at the beginning of this section of the Torah.
Out of
Why?
order.
What? Completely out of order. Why? So there's 2 reasons why. One is because it wants to put it right next to Miriam's death, which is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
To teach us that when a righteous person passes away, it has a spiritual power, cleanses the people in the same way that the paraduma cleanses the people. I think it has to do with the fact when they pass away, their sacrifice goes up to God. Also, I think that it has an effect on the people when they lose someone super close to them, especially a great tzaddik, or tzaddiket, a female tzaddik. They feel it has a major effect on the people.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, it inspires them to become closer to God, and it has the same effect as a paraduma.
Okay.
Okay. There's another reason why. And that we're going to get to soon, which is related to the idea that it is a chukah, it is a mitzvah that has no logic. Meaning there's no reason. You ask the question, what is the logic behind this? It just doesn't fit any of our rational. We wouldn't have invented this mitzvah.
Yeah.
It also doesn't point to any specific event that we are commemorating. It is a solution to the problem of death. It is the paraduma. It is the reversal, which we can speak Kabbalistically for a second and say, death theoretically is something which is an anomaly. It's not supposed to happen.
Physically.
Spiritually.
Okay.
Because death is, in godliness, everything exists forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like truth exists forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Either it is or it isn't. The idea that truth falls apart at some point doesn't compute. So death is this anti-godly thing that was introduced to the world when Adam and Eve sinned. Right.
Yeah.
And after the golden calf reintroduced it to the world, after the Jewish people accepted Torah, it was supposed to revert back. And then they sin with the golden calf, and it goes back it reverts back to the new system, which there is death.
Mm-hmm.
So the golden calf, so the red heifer is supposed to come and rectify the golden calf, and essentially this idea of having such a harsh break where there's an idea of the soul is not active in this world again because it dies. So the chukah is supposed to be this, like, because you are totally subjugating yourself to God's dominance, you're totally just whatever God says, that allows you to repair, to go back to the original truth, and therefore it rectifies on death.
Okay.
It reverses death. It's a Kabbalistic idea.
Okay.
Okay. That is one idea related to chukah. The other one we're going to leave for the end of the conversation after all the stories.
Okay.
Okay, to tie it all together. Okay. So now, let's go. What happens in this Torah portion? Okay. Make myself comfortable.
Let's go.
Miriam passes away. She passes away. The Jewish people, it doesn't date it yet. It just says it happened in the first month when they arrive in the desert of Tzin. It says that Miriam dies there and she's buried there.
Which
Okay.
I believe
Yeah.
is in what is in modern day Israel.
Maybe. Could be.
Nachal Tzin is, I'm pretty sure it's in the Arava Desert.
This would make sense
Mhm.
because they were in that area. They were in the south. Now, by the way, this is the jump.
This is the big jump.
We just moved forward 40 years.
Okay.
38 years.
Okay.
Ta-da! How was it? Right? Shocking. It doesn't say anything. All it says is that the children of Israel come to the desert of Tzin the first month. They live in Kadesh, and then that's where Miriam dies, and she's buried.
Wow.
No date. In a little bit, we're going to get a date with Aaron.
Same Parsha.
Yeah. Let me see if it has a date on there. 1 second. I thought it has a date on there. Maybe not. We'll see. Why are we saying we'll see? No, it doesn't say a date there as well.
Okay.
But we know what happens because the rest of the stories that are all tied together.
So Miriam passes away.
So Miriam passes away. What happens the minute Miriam passes away? The well disappears.
Nachon. Be'er Miriam.
Be'er Miriam. So this is how they find out. The fact the Jewish people had 3 things that took care of them throughout the entire time they were in the desert. 40 years. There was manna from heaven every single day. There was water from the well of Miriam, which was a supernatural rock spewing a spring out of it. And what was, besides the fact that it was a rock spewing water, which is kind of a natural thing, how you see springs. No, that's how you see it. But it moved.
With them.
Every time that they moved, it shows up, spraying water.
And was it, until she passed away, was it associated with her?
No, they didn't know it was her.
Mm.
Correct. And there's also clouds of glory that protected the Jews and gave them this honor guard.
Mm.
That was the merit of Aaron.
Mm.
And we only know, again, it was this miraculous thing that came out of Egypt. We don't know the Jews like, oh, this is beautiful, this is crazy.
Mm.
And then we find out after Aaron passes away that they disappear. And that's how we know that they came in merit of Aaron.
That's the Amud Anan v'Amud Ha'esh?
So the Amud Anan and Amud Ha'esh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, it could be that the Amud Anan and Amud Ha'esh, the pillar of cloud and pillar of fire, continued because there was two sets of clouds. There was clouds of glory and clouds of protection.
Okay.
And the ones that disappear are the ones of glory, not the protection ones. So it wasn't a full wipeout.
Okay. Very cool stuff.
Okay. So the water disappears. Now they find out that it was Miriam's merit that the water was there the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, they use this water for mikvah. For men, for women, whoever needs to go to mikvah, they use this water.
And to drink.
And they use it to drink, and they use it for their animals, they use it to grow things. I always have in my mind this vision, because we don't hear this now, we hear it later, that they spent 19 years in one location during their journeys. Those 19 years, I'm sure someone planted a tree.
Yeah.
And they watered it for the water of Miriam. And it grew next to their front door. And they would, 19 years is a long time for a tree to grow.
Yeah.
And then one day they wake up and, okay, it's time to pack up and move. But there's this, like in my mind, there's this very visual image of, like, you have these tents and they have, like, trees and plants. Like, they lived in a place for 19 years.
Yeah, probably became an oasis in the desert.
Yeah, but then Miriam's well moves and everything disappears.
Kaput.
Yeah. Okay, so the Jews come, and this is actually a very, very sad and contentious piece of Torah. The Jewish people come to Moshe and they say, we have no water, we're dying of thirst. What happens?
This is where Moses messes up.
So this is why it's so complicated. It's like, what is happening here? Why? And it's interesting because Moshe later on. Well, let's first tell the story, and then we'll go from there.
This is where Moses gets his.
Yeah. This is where he is told, him and Aaron together, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
which is very interesting. I don't have a satisfactory understanding as to why Aaron was as included in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a satisfactory answer as to why Aaron was included in it, because it just seems so strange. Let's see what happens. So first of all, they come to Moshe and they say, what happened? We have no water, we're dying of thirst. Again, why'd you take us out of Egypt? A place with this. But it's funny because they were not the ones who came out of Egypt. Their parents. They still have that a little bit of residual feeling of, like, well, if we would have been in Egypt,
call it intergenerational trauma.
Yeah, exactly. If we would have been in Egypt, we would have had water.
Yeah.
Remind you that Egypt didn't have water.
And the Nile.
Correct. It flooded once a year, but it wasn't like it was this beautiful. It wasn't Florida. It was Arizona.
Okay.
Right? It had water that once a year. It wasn't humid.
Yeah.
Maybe it was humid. I don't know, but it didn't have rainfall. So no, it wasn't humid. It didn't have rainfall.
Yeah.
It was a desert that happened to have
the Nile.
this giant flood once a year that basically kept everything fertile and everything with water. Otherwise, they didn't have any water.
Okay.
Right? So God speaks. So Moshe and Aaron go to God. Like, what do we do? Fair question.
Yeah.
God tells Moshe, take your staff, assemble the people, you and Aaron together, go to the rock. You shall bring forth, speak to the rock. It will bring forth water for the people. Moshe takes the staff.
And beats the rock.
And he goes to the rock. Now, it's very complicated what happens. You have to read what it actually says and then what everyone interprets on top of it.
Mm.
What it actually says is Moshe tells them, listen to you, rebelliers. Rebelliers is not a word. Rebels. You think I can bring water out of this rock? Moshe picks up his hand, hits the rock with the staff twice. Huge amount of water comes shooting out of the rock, and everyone drinks. They're happy. God tells Moshe and Aaron, you don't believe me. You don't have faith in me to make me holy in front of the people. Therefore, you're not going to go into the land of Israel that I gave them. This is the contentious water that the Jewish people fought with God, and now there was holiness made from there. That's the story. Next.
Well, so he doesn't even try speaking to the rock.
So that's where we get into the way the interpretation really, really gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding is that Moshe tells the Jews, they start screaming at Moshe. There's this like big argument. Moshe says, you think that I just randomly choose a rock? If I talk to any rock, it's just going to be the right rock. He talks to a random rock. He says, see, it doesn't work. It has to be the rock that God chose. That's going to be the rock. It's a miraculous thing. And then they say, okay, maybe you should hit it like last time. 38 years ago. Moshe says, sure, I could try that. It won't work. This isn't the right rock. He takes it. He hits a different rock, so I'll show you. He hits the other rock. That was the right rock. And the rock is annoyed.
Yeah.
Because the rock is like, excuse me, you were supposed to talk to me.
Yeah.
What are you hitting me for? Talk like a bench.
Wait, so
So the rock it only puts out a few dribbles of water. It says, here. So Moshe hits it again.
This is already interpretation.
And now it gushes.
That's interpretation.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so the argument was that they were saying you should bring it out of any rock, and he said it can't be just any
Can't
rock.
be any rock. It has to be the right rock.
But why were they asking him to get it out of any rock?
They're just saying, do it already. Do your thing. Do. Where's the water?
I see. Okay.
Imagine like a million Israelis.
Yeah.
Where's the water? No? Where is it going on? What's happening now? With the water. Do it already.
Sounds pretty accurate.
Ooh, hit the thing, let's go.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. First of all, every time that the Torah mentions the Moshe and Aaron being forced to stay in the desert, 100% of the time it always mentions why they were forced to stay in the desert. Because they didn't know the water, always because of the water. It's interesting that the Egyptians foretold Moses' death because of water through astrology. They foretold that the death of the death of the savior of the Jews is going to die through water, which is why they tried drowning. Right? It turns out they were kind of right.
Yeah.
In that there was a water-based episode that caused Moshe to pass away, which is this story. There's also a very, very there's like I said, there's a lot of interpretation here that gets involved. What was the problem that Moshe and Aaron did? This is the fact that they said, "You think I could bring water out of a rock?" Was he doubting God? Oh, God took that. I was like, "Oh, you were doubting me, and I'm going to punish you." Was it the fact that he hit the rock and didn't speak to it? Because the tradition then would be, "Oh, you see, if a rock could listen to Hashem, speaking to it, so how much more so you people? God, it's not a rock. It's not deaf, dumb, and mute. You're a human. You should be able to listen when God's word speaks to you." All of these things are very nice and cute. Read the Chumash every time, and it's like you can see that it's like a lot of information hidden in a very, very short amount of words. To me, Mendy Levertov, I'll give you my interpretation.
That's what we're here for.
Moshe would never be able to go into the land of Israel.
Anyways.
No. Because his generation passed in the desert. And the rule is that the leader of the Jewish people does not leave his people behind. If he were to enter the land of Israel, without them, they never would have had their leader to bring them up, even when Mashiach comes. And when we believe there's going to be a resurrection of the dead, they would never come out. Because they don't have their guy, their Moshe, to lead them out.
Okay. Wow.
This is a Kabbalistic thing. It's not my interpretation. But this, to me, essentially, is that God was finding an excuse. An excuse that fits the story and it fits the narrative. And there's, because really, the challenge here is a two-sided challenge. The challenge number one is that you read the story, you're like, what even happened? Again, the text itself is very opaque. And then you read it and you're like, okay, so then if you read all the medrash, the interpretations and the Pirushim explanations on it, you read it, you're like, but was that enough to force them to stay in the desert?
And also, it's like
that's when they lost.
Also,
the
if we
right.
look at Aaron, it's like he
Aaron
messed up much worse previously.
Correct. Rashi comments that Moshe's conversation with God three Torah portions ago, when it came to there wasn't enough. He says, "Is there enough meat to keep the people happy?" It was rhetorical. Here, it's also rhetorical.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're going to tell me that Torah doesn't like rhetoric, or it doesn't like sarcasm, it doesn't like cynicism. It was clear that Moshe was asking a question like, it's not a rock. It's God. It's God's word. Like, so unless you're going to say, "Oh, God got offended because he said something rhetorical," it's like, don't say things rhetorically. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Rather, what the story was and exactly why they got. Again, if you read kind of these like synopsis of the Torah portion, they're like, well, the challenge is that Moshe and Aaron are the greatest of the greats. So you have this major problem. You have a paradox. You have to find a sin which is great enough that it brings death upon them, and also not great enough that they're not the greatest of the great anymore. It can't be such a terrible sin that it puts them down in our eyes.
Yeah.
And it can't be such a light sin that it doesn't deserve death penalty. Right? So I read this and I'm like, no. In fact, there's one interpretation. I forget who exactly it was. I think it was a very modern interpretation. That Moshe and Aaron, essentially, they were quite old at this point. Moshe and Aaron, they're each
119 and 125.
119, 123.
I thought Aaron was
3
the
years
oldest.
older. No, Miriam was the oldest.
Okay.
So Aaron is 3 years older.
Mm-hmm.
So Moshe is 119 and Aaron is 122.
Two.
They were quite old. And essentially, they would have gone into the land of Israel and passed in the land of Israel. And here Hashem is saying, you're going to live your natural life span and pass before you go into the land of Israel.
Okay.
Which, had they gone a little faster, maybe they would have made it in. But because everything slowed down, because Hashem commanded them, that's why they died natural lifespans outside of Israel.
Okay.
That's one very modern interpretation. Okay, not enough for me. Again, the key here, I believe, is that Moshe and Aaron are going to lead Moshe specifically going to lead the Jewish people into Israel. They're the ones, this is their generation with their people had all passed in the desert over the 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some reason right before they go to the land of Israel that God's going to basically keep them with their people.
Okay.
Which is very interesting.
I like that. That's probably that's the one that I'm most satisfied with.
It's the only one that's satisfying to me because, like I said, it's opaque what they did wrong. It's opaque what happened.
So the way I was taught
all the interpretations, it's opaque what they did wrong.
So the way I was taught it was that Moses spoke to the rock, it didn't produce water. He hits the rock, and basically God's like, "You're gonna show me up like that in front of the Jewish people? Like, I'm gonna tell you to talk, and you're gonna beat it." And I was dissatisfied with that because it's like, well, he talked to the rock, and then it didn't work. And
what's he supposed to do?
Yeah,
Talk
and
again?
then people are like, "Yeah, but it's the same as Shaul. Like Shmuel's not showing up to make the sacrifice, and it's already 7 days." And so, but like,
Yeah, but in that case, Shaul screwed up before that.
yeah, Shaul was in big doo doo beforehand.
He was in trouble.
Yeah,
Correct.
but my point with with this is the way I interpreted it in like my own life was he's the leader, and he can't be displaying frustration and raw emotion like that. He needs to be more reserved.
So there's an interpretation that they ran to go daven, to pray, and talk to God instead of trying to attend to the. Again, all these things are very, like Ramban has an interpretation. There's a lot of biblical scholarship of the sages who give all these different reasons. But again, to me, nothing is fully satisfying because there's so many episodes that we spoke about in the last Torah portions.
But Hashem says right after this, you're not going into Israel. Right?
Immediately, and then he says, like, I'll. Oh, and it says that God basically laid down the law, and that's how you show that the holiness of God is proved to you yet again.
I don't like
he
it.
sacrifices us too.
I don't like it.
That's what I'm telling you. That to me is the he was sanctified by punishing Moshe and Aaron, and I think it was more of an excuse than anything else, because of the Kabbalistic spiritual understanding that they have to be there for their people.
That I like, yeah.
Okay, so that leads us now to. So there's a small piece that is not specifically said in the text, but the Rebbe points it out because he explains basically this is the catalyst for the rest of the rest of the narrative of the Torah portion, which makes sense. He says this is why suddenly there's a whole journeying of the Jewish people. Had it not been for the story of the rock, and the fact that Hashem punishes the Jewish people, or Moshe and Aaron specifically, they're theoretically right at the edge of Israel. Why don't they just go north through the land of the Ammonites straight into Israel? Ammonites or
I thought the Ammonites and the Moabites were east of
the east?
Yeah.
So Hashem says Hashem says he's not going to give them the three: the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Edomites. That's it, the three. Hashem says Edom.
All the cousins.
I'll give an explanation of what's going on and what was going to happen. So the Jewish people are currently in the south of biblical Israel, which essentially means they're like in the Negev.
Yeah.
The current Negev.
Yeah.
They have to enter the land of Israel. God has decided, as a result of the water story, that he's not going to take them through to the southern entrance. They're going to come in from the east.
Which is where Joshua takes them in.
Which means they now have to go around, or they have to go north, and they have to go north to the eastern side of the Jordan River, which empties into the Dead Sea. They're going to go up the eastern side of the Dead Sea, straight all the way up till they reach a point they can cross over the Jordan. They're going to go into Israel through there, which, as we find out later, is Jericho. That's where it ends up happening.
Still exists.
That's till today. It's still there, and in fact, there's a curse on whoever builds Jericho. It's terrible for them. It's a whole story. Okay, very good. Not Jericho. If you build the city of
in Jericho.
Jericho's the curse?
Yeah, Jericho's the curse.
Also?
No, that's the curse.
Not the city of Jericho.
For sure.
Okay.
I remember because later Eliyahu and Achav walked together to console the father of all the children who died because he
rebuilt Jericho.
Because he tried to rebuild Jericho.
Right. Okay, interesting. Okay, there you go. Okay. So the Jewish people are now in Negev. They want to get to on the eastern side of the Jordan River, across from Jericho. That's where they're going to cross it. Very good. However, God has just decided that they're not going to capture Edom and Moab, and they're going to basically have to ask them now for permission. Can we pass through your land?
Derech HaMelech.
Derech HaMelech, which is the King's Highway. Edom is to the southeast of Israel, and it takes up a big portion of the eastern side of what today is Jordan.
The western side of Jordan.
The eastern side of the Jordan River.
Yeah, the western side of modern Jordan.
Oh, the western side of modern Jordan, and it's like the whole bottom chunk. On top of that is the country of Moab, which is North Jordan, and mid Jordan, I would say, but also the western side of Jordan, the eastern side of the Jordan River. On top of that is two other countries, which extends all the way up into Syria.
Ammon and Aram.
So Ammon and Aram, which Aram actually has two separate. It's a nation, but it has two separate kings, Sichon and Og. And this is where our story takes us.
Okay.
Moshe asks Edom, "Can we go through your land?" Edom says, "No, not by whatever. You come through here, we'll kill you. We'll attack you." So Moshe begins to travel around. They travel south, away from Israel, to be able to circumvent around Edom and go around by traveling. Rashi spends a lot of time trying to describe the whole thing. Essentially, they're going to go circle around Edom, around Moab, which means they're traveling south, east, north, until they arrive on the eastern side of the Jordan River, are going to cross from Israel to come in from the Jericho side.
Okay.
You go full circle.
To cross from Jericho, so they're going to go south afterwards.
No, well, once they're in Jericho, they're going to go into the land of Israel.
No, but geographically, so till today, we in Israel, we know where Harei Edom, the mountains of Edom, are. We know where the mountains of looking into Jordan from the Jordan Valley.
Right.
We know where Harei Moav are. We don't call it Harei Ammon or anything like that.
Right.
But there is a territory called Bashan, which is where Og ruled.
Sure.
Way north.
Right.
Way north.
Right.
Way like a 2-hour drive north of Jericho.
Yeah, for sure. It went all the way up to Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The Jews were not necessarily planning on going all the way north to
Mhm.
find Og. We'll hear what happens in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jews travel south, and they're heading out. As they travel south, Aaron passes away. Moshe takes him up on a mountain. It's called Hor HaHar, double mountain. He takes him up on the top of the mountain with Elazar, his son, who's going to take him over as the high priest. He takes off Aaron's high priest clothing. He puts it onto Elazar. It's very sad. Moshe's crying the entire process because he's saying goodbye to his older brother. His brother's crying.
He's also his last family member.
His last sibling, right?
Sibling.
And he's very sad. Elazar's crying because it's his father passing. His father, he gets dressed in these shrouds, and then Aaron gets up on the bed that was waiting in this mystical cave. He gets up on the bed. He dies with called the kiss of God, which basically Hashem comes so close to the body, the soul just jumps out of the body. That's the description. It's like you take a camel to a candle, and his lips literally purse in the kiss of God. Okay, Moshe sees this, and he says, I could use a death like this. I would like that. And he actually, that's how he passes away. Also, Al Pi Hashem. In both places it says, he dies Al Pi Hashem by the mouth of God. Okay. They come down from the mountain. The whole entire nation is very upset. They're crying. And there's a whole episode while they are at Hor HaHar. Hashem, because Aaron passes away, therefore the clouds of glory disappear. Because they disappear, Amalek, which always lived in the south of Israel, saw the opportunity to attack the Jews again. And so they muster up an army and they attack the Jews.
For the second time.
For the second time. But this time they dress as the Canaanim, because they want the Jews, when they pray to be delivered, they should be delivered from the Canaanim, not from the Amalekites. So that way they'll confuse their prayers, they won't be able to be focused properly, and then they won't be able to get God to save them. Which I always thought was a dumb tactic, but they thought it was really smart. There's a conversation.
It was the latest technology at the time.
Yeah, evidently. Well, also, the Amalekites seem to have a lot of sorcerers and soothsayers, so they very much believe in the power. And we'll see later with Balak and Bilam, there's a very big, strong power. Then a belief in the power, and the actual was power in sorcery and soothsaying and like magical stuff. So they dress as another nation, so that if you try to use your powers against us, it's going to miss the mark because you're naming the wrong people, whatever. Yeah. The Jews are not so dumb. They see them coming at them, and they're like, they don't talk like Canaanites. They don't look like Canaanites. They're just dressed like Canaanites. So instead of asking God to protect them from the Canaanites, they say, protect us from these people.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then they fight a war, and they lose.
Well done.
As is the tradition. And they call this place destruction. Chorma, because it was a disaster. Okay. And they destroy everything that they captured from them.
As this is the rule with Amalek.
It's a war with Amalek, and in general, they promise God that they're going to dedicate or destroy. They're going to make it holy for God, and sometimes making holy for God means you make it holy by like selling it, using the proceeds for God. But they're like, we're not even going to be here. We're going on this journey, and they just destroy everything. So they call it chorma. It's like a combination of destruction and dedication. Okay. Now, in the process of this death, in the mourning of Aaron, and then the attack of the Amalekites, the Jewish people become very disillusioned. They begin to travel. They begin to run, basically, back towards Jerusalem, back towards Egypt. In that direction, the Levite tribe goes and stops them, but they get into this like massive battle. People die. It is not pretty.
A civil war.
A very light civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this light civil war, They end up in a the actual place that they mourn Aaron is a very far location from where he passes away. Because till they figure out the whole thing, they've already traveled very, very far down the Sinai Peninsula towards Egypt. So they end up mourning Aaron for 30 days over there.
Okay.
It's chaos. I'm always wondering, the Jews run. Where's Moshe? He doesn't stay behind.
Yeah.
So the Mishkan is traveling south. The Levites packed the Mishkan. They didn't pack the Mishkan.
Yeah.
They probably did not pack, because here wasn't God telling them to travel. So they run, and then the Levites are stopping them, but then some of them are behind.
Keeping an eye on the Mishkan.
Keeping an eye on the Mishkan with Moshe, and then it's
right after they got attacked.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know how this actually plays out pragmatically.
Okay.
Maybe it was a portion of them.
That sounds like a lot.
Like maybe there was a portion of them that run, and the Levites stop them, and then once they stop them, they're like, okay, we're going to set up camp here, reorganize, lick our wounds, figure out what's going on, and then the Mishkan catches up to them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If Moshe says, I'm not going anywhere, then the Levites like, I'm not going anywhere. And then the tribe of Yehuda probably was like, half of them at least for sure, like, we're not going anywhere. It's like, how did it play out pragmatically? I don't know. It's a very strange situation. But that's what happens.
I have a question. How many chapters does the war with Amalek take up?
5 verses?
I love that.
Yeah. 3 verses.
I love that you can have 2 chapters dedicated to a law about a red cow.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's exactly how much, and then you have 3. It's like and
verses.
They got attacked and they won. Yeah. Moving on. Like
Hashem hears their voice. But by the way, this is the entire Torah portion.
Mm-hmm.
It's major stories in very, very short pieces. Because now the Jewish people are in this new camp, far away from where they were. Now they're cranky again.
And they're further away from Israel than they were.
Correct.
Before.
They're upset, and they're like, "Ugh, look what happened. We lost our water, and then we got punished, and now we hear that Moshe and Aaron are not even going to take us to the land of Israel. Aaron actually dies on us." And har ha har. It was a very sad, tragic moment for the entire people. Everyone was very sad. They mourned for 30 days. Aaron was known to be the one who basically took care of the people. He was very amongst the people, very, very close. He helped people become, help relationships, people repair their relationships with his friends, whether it was Shalom Bayit, spouses who were struggling. He would work very hard to help people with their relationships. So he was like the master therapist of the entire Jewish people.
Love it.
He passed away. They mourned him for 30 days. It's a whole huge thing. So now they get attacked by the Amalekites. They run away. They get stopped. They finally settle back. They're like, okay, we're going to go back to the land of Israel. It's going to be wonderful. But they're cranky. And so what do? They began to complain again. And this time they complain against Moshe and Aaron. And they say...
After Aaron's dead.
No, but Aaron, Moshe, God and Moshe. There's always 2. God and Moshe at this point. God, the 2 of you, God and Moshe, you've collaborated against us. Took us out of Egypt.
Life was good in Egypt.
We're dying in the desert. We have no natural food. We're eating this manna, this glorious manna. We haven't gone to the restroom in 38 years. Because the manna was like this magical bread, and every piece of it was useful to the human body. There's nothing to push out. So we haven't gone. We're weary of this beautiful bread that we don't even have to let any of it go. It bothers us. Why have we not used the bathroom? And so God sends snakes. This is where it happens.
This is a classic.
God sends the snakes. And God begin to bite people, and people begin to die. It's just not pretty. And people come to Moshe and say, we're sorry. We repent. We have spoken badly. And again, all these episodes, was it all the Jews, or was it like a few of the Jews? And then some of the Jews were just like, don't bother me with this whole thing. But they're also, like, was it like masses of people? Was it like
Does
tens?
it say?
No. Hundreds of the people.
Okay.
A lot of times it could be like one of these things. It's like today, America feels X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Social media discourse is X, Y, and Z. It's like 100 people that are like leading the charge. There's a bunch of people liking and tweeting and retweeting, but there's really just 100 people who are thinking in that direction.
How many people die at the hand of the snakes?
Doesn't say. Doesn't say. Just people. Could be like a few.
Wow.
Right? There's no. Maybe the Medrash has like a real, like ties a number to it, but we don't know. And so, Moshe forgives them. He says, "I understand. I get it." He prays for them. He prays to God, and God says, "Okay, I hear that they repented and they need forgiveness. I want them to do something more than just saying they need forgiveness. They have to really repent. And the way to do that is to look up towards God. Look to the heavens. The way that we're going to instigate that is through a copper snake, nechash and nechoshet. And so
Modern
Moshe,
symbolism.
it's a symbolism that exists till today. They take a copper snake, put it on a pole, raise it up over the people. They will look up to the copper snake, and they'll remember God, and they'll be cured from their venomous bites. And therefore, till today,
The copper snake, the staff, like the snake around the staff, is very much associated with medicine and
Yep.
curing.
what was it destroyed?
When was it destroyed? I don't know.
I believe it was done by Chizkiah, which is
The Babylonian Empire.
the Jewish king at the end of the middle of the Second Temple, the one who dealt with the Syrian king who tried to capture Jerusalem. But it was like 800, 900 years later.
But yeah, Second Temple.
First temple.
First temple.
First temple.
So he destroys it. Why?
Because it had magical powers that it cured people.
And why did so he cured it because
So he destroyed it because he felt like it was an idol worship. People were starting to worship it as its own god. Because they would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, if you look at it, it heals you. What if we offered the blood of one goat just to say hi? Or what if we sacrificed 3 rabbits because snakes love rabbits? I don't know."
Yeah.
So at some point, he did a few things that was good and a few things that were bad.
Controversial guy.
Controversial guy, and one of the things he did was good was destroy the snake.
Okay. Is it, and it's explicitly stated
It says it in the Talmud.
in the Talmud? It's not stated in the.
No, it doesn't say it here.
No, in the.
Oh, in Chizkiah? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But the rabbis that were writing the Gemara was not much later.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
And it's funny because God tells him make a snake and put it up on a pole. He doesn't say what material to make it out of. And Moshe's like, nechash nechoshet. That sounds good.
Works.
Let's make it out of a copper. That's what he does.
He had a thing for copywriting. He'd be good in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it has to rhyme.
Nachash nechoshet.
Nechash nechoshet. It has to fit.
That's like a super villain.
Yeah. Nechash nechoshet. And so, okay. That happens. Done. Now they just travel north to get from where they were stuck, way down south in the desert. They travel all the way north, back towards the land of Edom. Circle to the right around Edom. Go north, past Edom, past Moab. And then they arrive in the desert on the east of Moab.
In the east of Moab.
Yeah, so a little bit further out.
So mid Jordan.
Yeah. And now, well, no, it's not mid Jordan. It's the northern end of the Dead Sea.
Okay.
And there's a river there. A river called the Arnon River. And this river was the border between the Amorites and the Moabite lands. The Jewish people are now traveling north. Now God tells the Jewish people, you're not going to take possession of Ammon, Moab, Edom. All 3, they're your cousins. You're not going to take their possession. That's when Mashiach comes. Not only that, but you can't harass them. You can't bother them. He actually gave them permission to raid in Moab, but not in Ammon and not in Edom.
Okay.
So they could go, they could harass them, they could go steal some, loot there. They'll do a village raid. That was okay, but you can't capture the land. You're not going to take any of the cities. You're not going to take any of the space for your own. Okay. And Mori, above, north of that, you're going to be able to take their land. That's okay. And here comes a wild, beautiful episode. The Jews are now going to travel east to west, using the valley of the Arnon River to get closer to Israel, and basically to come right up to the edge to the plains of Moab, right to the north of this river. It was called the plains of Moab because it had once been Moab before, but now it's already owned by the Amorites. Very nice. They're going to go settle. It's beautiful. So they're going to use either the actual river, the valley, or they're going to pass through a little bit of it. I'm not exactly sure how their topography was going to lead, but they were going to pass through that gorge.
Mm-hmm.
The Amorites were very powerful warriors. A portion of them decide that they're going to ambush the Jews by hiding in the caves, in the cliffs, over the Arnon River. And as the Jews pass through the Arnon Gorge, they're going to destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it's a very narrow gorge. It would be very easy to just, between the missiles and between the Katyushas and between all the rocks, it'd be flattened the entire nation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens? As the Jews approach, there's an earthquake. The entire gorge, the entire valley, squashes, closes. And it just so happens that every cave had the perfect size rock to enter into it. And there was this insane, crushing earthquake, which then reopens. And everyone that had been hiding along the gorge has been crushed, killed. And their bodies are dripping off the rocks. There's blood everywhere.
Everywhere.
And this is like, it doesn't say how many, but it was hundreds.
Yeah, it was an army.
It was an army. It was a proper army. It wasn't the entire army. It was a good army.
Yeah.
And the Jews don't even know what happened in advance of their arrival. So God sends the river of Miriam's well to
wash the walls,
wash through the. So the things had been pouring into the river. It went into the river and it basically swung round and brought up to the Jewish camp bodies, body parts, and blood to show them what would have happened.
Yeah.
What could have happened.
Explicitly stated.
So this is a beautiful piece where it doesn't say anything and it says everything. Al ken yeomar b'sefer milchamot Hashem et vahav b'sufa v'et nechalim arnon. You understand anything so far?
No.
No. When we recount the wars that God fought for the Jewish people. So you talk about what he had b'sufa, Yam Suf, and also equally the miracles that happened in the river of Arnon. Wow. And this ve'esher hanechalim v'shenatala shevet ar v'nish'an ligvul Moab, the spillage of the body parts of the valley that moves towards Moab and lead into the border of Moab. It's written in a very cryptic, poetic way.
Yeah.
This, to me, this is like an echo of what's going to come later on in the next Torah portion of Balak. We have a lot of poetry.
Mm-hmm.
We already had a little bit of it earlier,
mm-hmm.
and suddenly poetry really becomes a major piece of the Chumash. It's beautiful. And then we say, and then from there, the spillage of blood goes to the well. That is the well that God told to Moshe, gather the people and I'll give them water. Which again just goes to show you that God wasn't that mad about the water situation. Or he was. I don't know.
But yeah.
He wasn't.
Or he has a great sense of humor.
Yeah, but it's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Az yashir Yisrael tashira hazot.
You know what's crazy
a new
about
song.
You know what's crazy about that? When you read me that previous verse about this will be it reminded me of Shirat Hayam.
Yeah.
And now now it's Az Yashir.
And then they do a shira, a proper shira, which is 4 verses long.
Mm-hmm. Much shorter than the previous Shirat
Much
Hayam.
shorter than Shirat Hayam, but it's the same style.
Yeah.
They sang the song Alei ve'er enula. Rise, O well. Show us, let's sing to you. Be'er chafaru asarim karu nidive'am. B'mechokek b'shanotam b'midbar matana. B'matana nachliel b'nachliel banot. B'banuot Hagai. Asher b'znei Moav. Rosh ha'pisgav nishkaf al peni Shimon. Which essentially is thanking God for the river, for the well, for providing us water that was given to us by Moses and by Aaron, and the princes would carve. They would use their staffs to draw the water to their tribes, and then the people. So it was like a process. Every time they set up camp, it was like a whole process.
Yeah.
The different tribe leaders would go and they would draw water they would use their staffs to show the water where to go. Yeah, and they would follow their path.
Beautiful.
Very, very cool. And then it's going to end up over here as we sit overlooks the wastelands of Moab, where we are now, basically. Okay? And then the Jewish people now, having witnessed the miracles of Sichon, of the first battle. So again, the first battle for Israel takes place with zero participation of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
The Amalek attack that happened earlier was a leftover of the rebellion situation. It was a leftover of Aaron and the water, and then they get attacked, and he passes away, and then they come, and then once they resolve past that, they are locked and loaded.
Yeah, now we're walking to Israel.
They are locked and loaded. Nothing's going to stop them.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to come close to stopping them.
And their first battle, they don't even.
Their first battle, they don't even fight.
Yeah.
They don't even come close to fighting it. They literally walk up and the battle was won. They're like, wow. They sing a song. They thank God. The Jewish people have shifted massively.
They're booking it.
And then they fight two battles now. One with Sichon, one with Og. Both are incredibly powerful nations.
And Og, I imagine both the Sichon and Og go to them. They bring the battle to Israel because the territories of Sichon and Bashan are way north.
Correct. So Sichon is the first one they fight. They capture Sichon. Sichon comes and they say basically, let us pass through your land. We're not going to bother you. We'll be okay.
But why would Israel pass through Sichon?
Because they were like, we don't want to fight with you yet. The plan, theoretically, would be that they would go to Israel, capture Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they finish taking over the entire land that God promised Avram first, then they later on go and capture the rest of the countries as well. And think about it. Had they come from the south, the way that they were going to come before the spies.
No, but I'm talking about why would they
had they entered Israel from the south, as it would have been pre-spies and pre the water where they had to go around and whatever. Had they entered from the south, they would have captured Israel first, and then later on captured more east and more north. That would be the natural progression of war.
Yeah.
So God was telling the Jews, theoretically, the plan would be, go get the land of Israel, which I promised you, and then you'll expand eastward and northward in later stages.
Yeah. My question is why would they even ask to cross through Sichon or Bashan? It's completely out. Like even if
Sichon is right there.
Is right there?
Yeah, Sichon is the king of the people who died in on the cliffs.
Okay.
That was his people.
Okay.
Right. So they cross through. That's what I'm saying. The topography is interesting because they obviously cross either through the gorge or next to the gorge, but they cross through there to go up to the plains of Moab. As they're entering up into the plains of Moab, that's where Sichon attacks them.
Okay.
Send the message to say, we're not going to touch your land, we're not going to bother you, we're going to camp here, and then go into Israel. And he says, absolutely not. And he comes and attacks them, and the Jews completely destroy the army, and they rout the whole thing, and they take all of his land. Becomes theirs. And this is the first major conquest of the Jewish people.
Okay.
And then they smote him with the sword. Oh, it's so good. Take him all the way up until the Yabok River, which I don't know if you know where the Yabok River is. It's somewhere in the middle over there. It's between the Kinneret and the Dead Sea on the eastern side.
Okay. Yeah.
Go find it on a map. Good luck.
Yabuk.
Yabuk.
Okay.
Okay? Nachal Yabuk. And, however, there was a small pocket of
Can I check where that is?
What?
Nachal Yabuk?
Yeah, check.
I want to check this.
I don't know. I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah, a lot of the rivers are named after, but Nachal
Right.
Nachal Yabuk. It's in Jordan. Okay, it's not too far north of the Dead Sea. It's actually, so that's about 20 miles northeast of Jericho.
20 miles northeast of Jericho. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they take up the entire property up until Yabuk. Okay. 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 Now what happens, interesting, because I'm looking down the Chumash now and remembering there's a little piece of it here. They settle in the land. They take all of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As we'll discover later on in a few Torah portions, this ends up becoming the land of 2.5 tribes. They ask for it, and God says it's fine. Yes. But before that, I love it. So Sichon attacks. They got him. Good. Ammon is this little country off to the side. They're not allowed to touch Ammon, so they don't even bother. They're cousins. God says don't touch them. Mashiach comes. We'll get them one day. While they're there, Moshe, there was a part of there's a part of the Amorite territory that had not been captured when they destroyed Sichon. This whole thing, it was called Yazer. Okay, so Moshe sent spies again, which goes back to show that spies were like a thing. It's like if you're going to be fighting a war, naturally, even with God's help, you still have to do your part. You can't
proactive
unless you're going to rely on the Arnon River Gorge experience happening again. You have to go to war.
Yeah,
God will fight for you.
And it's also, it sounds like this is the nation that's going to be going into Israel, and therefore they are getting closer and closer to the physical world. And further,
they do a little more. Yeah. So Moshe sent spies. The spies was 2 people. Well, this actually doesn't say how many people it was. It doesn't say how many people it was. He says he sent spies.
Mm-hmm.
What do the spies say? We're not going to make the same mistake the previous spies made. And so what do? They capture the city.
2 spies.
Well, it doesn't say how many. I thought it was 2. It was,
Nobody even. It's like
it was a bunch. 20 spies. They're like, we're not making the same mistakes as last time. Last time, they went out and they said on their own accord. They came back. Oh, we don't know. Like, no. We have the faith of God, the faith of Moses, and our power that was given to us. We're going to go and take it. We're not taking any hostages. Or maybe we are taking hostages.
Yeah, all of you are hostages.
All of you are hostages. Hi, word of the spies.
You know what that reminds me of?
Now you're ours. Nice to meet you.
This reminds me of Arik Sharon, who would be the prime minister who ends up giving back Gush Katif in
Correct.
Israel and disengaging from the Gaza Strip, was actually a very extreme right-winger in his early career. Pre-politics, yeah. And he was one of the most decorated Israeli soldiers in history, alongside with Ehud Barak, both of them tainted by politics later on. I think it was in the Mivtza Kadesh or Mivtza Sinai in 56. He had just founded the paratrooper battalion, and he was known for being this ferocious general. Like, he was known for, like, always, there's a saying in Hebrew, "Lachtor lemaga," always look for contact. Look for, like, you don't want to wait for contact to come to you. You go head first into it. And he's a great example of this. And he says to his commander, and a battalion's not an army. It's not. And so he says,
it's a lot of people, but not enough.
It's not even that many. It's like 300 people,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
500 people. You know, even in the early days of the country, probably even less.
Right.
Don't take like the facts for what they are. The story is the story.
Right,
I don't know the exact numbers, but he basically says to the Aluf Pikud, like a general of a general. He basically says, "I want to take Sinai," and he says, and this commander's like, "No." And he says, "Okay, so I want to go do some reconnaissance work. I'm going to take a small reconnaissance unit," and he takes his entire battalion and conquers the Sinai for the first time.
Wow.
What a nut.
That's crazy. But that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
That's how you do it.
Learn from the best.
Learn from the best.
Yeah.
Go there with the faith in God and do what needs to happen. Look, this is what the 6-Day War was very similar.
Yeah.
Not be scared. Not be scared of your own shadow.
Yeah.
The Yom Kippur War
We got our tush kicked.
is a result of being afraid of our own shadow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So again, so then they capture this. Then, a little bit later, they begin to move north into Og's territory.
Mm-hmm.
North of the Yabok River, which is in his territory technically.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal of that essentially was to provoke him and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I'll tell you what the Chumash says, and I'll give you the Medrash right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
God tells Moshe, "Don't be afraid of him. I have put him and his entire people into your hands, and into your him and his people and his land into your hands. You're going to be able to conquer him the same way you conquered Sichon, that lives in Cheshbon." And they hit him, they strike him, they smite him and his children and his entire people until there's nothing left, and they inherit the land, and then they live in the land of Moab, and they're waiting for the edge of Yarden Yericho. And that's where we end the Torah portion.
Just banger stories, one after the
One
other.
after another.
Yeah.
Now, the Medrash tells us that Og actually Og was for a little while was Moshe afraid because Og lived for so long. He lived for so many years, and he says God obviously has a power.
Og existed. He's brought up earlier in the Torah, correct?
Yeah.
In what context? With Avram or with?
So three things. Number one, Moshe was afraid of Og because he says he lived for so long. He lived.
So where do we hear about him before him? Because we hear about him before. And wasn't he also a giant?
He was a giant. We don't know him by name, I don't think, or until now.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that he was the one who came and told Avraham that Lot had been captured by the 5 kings. So Medrash tells us that. It says Vayavo HaPalit, the refugee came and told him. Doesn't name him who he is. But we understand that it was Og, who was a giant. He was one of the refugee of the massacre of the giants that happened at that time, which is a story for that Torah portion. But Moshe was afraid. He says he lived so long and he helped Avraham. Clearly, he has some sort of a merit.
Yeah.
And he's a king and he has all this power. And God says, that's very nice, but
You're my people.
his season is over and your season's about to start. We're going to kill off a main character. We're very excited about this. He'll come. In fact, God has Moshe God has Og and his sons and everyone leave their cities. Same way he did with Sichon. Same idea is that everyone leave their cities and come out and fight the Jews on the plain. He's like, could they do urban combat? Yes. Do we have time for this? No. Everyone come out, fight the Jews on the plain, get destroyed.
Move on.
We'll make it a lot easier. We'll speed the whole thing up. The Talmud tells us, Og lifted up a mountain the size of the camp of the Jewish people. He uproots it off of the ground, carries it over his head. He brings it over to smite the Jewish people. Moshe is carrying a
Axe.
a massive axe.
I can't believe I remember this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
God sends ants that they basically tear apart the mountain while Og is carrying it. It crumbles in his hands and it lands on his head. So now he's dealing with this mountain that is stuck to his head. As he's pulling at the mountain, his teeth begin to grow. So it gets lodged in the like a rhinoceros style. It gets lodged in the mountain. This is all to keep him distracted while Moshe takes a massive axe, jumps into the air, and cracks Og in the ankle. Gashing, blasting open his ankle, basically. That's how big Og was.
Moshe jumps and we think Moshe was big.
However big he was.
No, but isn't there also... Like
the Medrash said he was 10 amot tall. Yes, they say 10, 10, 10. It was 30.
Yeah.
Pretty tall.
Yeah.
And that basically was enough to cause him to trip, or to the bleeding and the whole thing. He falls, and that kills him.
That's it.
The fall kills him. Think about it. He's falling from a huge height.
Yeah.
That would split him up, but yeah. That kills Og, and that kills... So it's a medrash that Rashi brings, which is why it's so cool. It's very, very cool.
And that's the end of the parsha?
And that is the end of the parsha. Just like that. Now, I mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about...
And that's a parsha called Chukat.
Correct. So what is the connection?
What a head fake.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
What a head fake.
All the stories in it, all the stories have nothing to do with Chukat, besides for one idea. And that is the idea of Chukat. So Chukat is the word Chukat comes from Chakika, which means to engrave.
Mm-hmm.
The power of listening to God with this intense, I'm going to do whatever God says, even if I don't understand it, changes the relationship between the person and the divine wisdom.
Wow.
The difference between writing and the difference between engraving. With writing, the letters and the paper are two different materials. And eventually they get stuck together, but they're two different materials. In engraving, the letters and the material, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's they're more deeply infused. Meaning, it's not that there are letters that are embedded in the rock. There is nothing but the rock, and yet the rock creates the letters.
Yeah.
It's
That's
the
good.
hollow spaces in the rock that create the letters. The Jewish people's relationship with God, once they shift
Yeah.
into the mode, they are now one with God's will.
And
therefore, everything that happens from that point forward is a result of them flowing in God's flow.
they've shifted.
And they're in God's flow. So all the wars, the miraculous Arnon story, the fact that they accidentally capture extra pieces of land, the fact that these spies accidentally capture a couple towns because they were said go spy, they just took it. All of that is because they've shifted.
Yeah.
They've shifted into chukah mode, meaning they've shifted into a place where their will has become subjugated to God's will, and therefore they're now it's happening in sync. Everything that they want to do, or everything that they get inspired to do, is coming as a result of in concert with
That's
God's
stunning.
will, and that's why chukah or chukat as a Torah portion at the beginning of the Torah portion, it launches again. That the story of Miriam's passing leads into a very interesting kind of trajectory of stories. But then from that point forward, it is the experience of the chukah, the experience of the fusing with God's will, that leads to the entire Torah portion.
Honestly, one of my favorite ones up until now. That was very cool.
Pretty incredible.
Parashat Chukat.
Chukah in the books.